everyone, it's Imogen and welcome back to Colouring Kid. I hope you're doing well. In today's video I have a big roundup of all of my colour combinations from the months of October until March. So I have neglected this style of video that I have been doing for a while now. I used to keep up with it every month, and then I started doing it every 2 months. And then just because I've been colouring less, it sort of didn't make sense to make a video when I was pretty much just sharing colour combinations for sometimes one or two pages per month, because I don't write down the colour combinations for every page that I do. It's really only things that I think I will use again, because obviously writing them down in itself takes time. And so yeah, I just sort of left it for a bit, and then I thought, well, why don't I just do a big roundup video with all of the colour combinations, because I was getting comments asking, if I had the combination for a certain thing, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm really hoping to do this video soon and share them. So I'm sorry it's taken me a little bit of time, but I will have all the colour combinations in the description. I'm going to put them all in one PDF file rather than doing them separately month by month, because some of them are a single page. It used to be that most of mine were at least 2 pages, like 2 double spread pages each. But yeah, I just haven't been colouring as much, so I haven't written down as many colour combinations. This is inspired by Emma from Emma Colours 2020, and I really do enjoy doing these videos because it's fun to share and see what other people do, and also it's good for me to look back on and actually remember how I've coloured certain things, because often when I'm wanting to colour something that I have coloured before, I will look at the colour combinations in my books, or if I'm using a different set of pencils, then I might try and replicate the colour palette with those pencils. So yeah, it's just really fun for me to do. So I've written them all down. So these are my bullet journals. This one was my 2022, and this is my current 2023 bullet journal. So we will start and we'll just go in order. So as I said, this is 6 months worth of colour combinations for various things. So as I said, I don't do every single page, and I don't necessarily write down every object or thing on that page down either. It's really things that I just think will be useful. I do have videos from the beginning of 2022 up until now on a playlist on my channel if you're interested. So yeah, we've got October first. So first up, and I will share the pages as we go along as well. So this is the Erie 12 Seasons postcards, and this is my Anne of Green Gables picture. So this one was really fun, really simple. I was using Black Widow pencils, and when I did finish this, I didn't think I was going to reuse any of the colour palettes, but then I really wanted to write down what colours I used to colour Anne, because when I'm colouring people, it's so difficult for me to think about the clothes. That's always the thing. If they don't have any patterns on either, that's always the thing that I struggle with, because I don't know whether to add a pattern in or just block colour it. And the shadowing and everything is fine, it's just the actual colours. And I love Anne's outfit from Anne of Green Gables. I tried to emulate her outfit from the film that I used to watch when I was younger, and I did actually add the patterns in. So all of the lines have been added in with the pencils. I added the flowers in as well, and I'm glad that I have kept this colour combination. So as I said, this is Black Widow pencil. I also wrote down the colour combinations for the Green Gables house, because I thought that might come in handy to remember, because again, I would have never thought of doing a green house, but then I used reference photos. And I also wrote down the grass colour combination because I quite enjoyed doing that. And it was a nice olive colour and a contrasting green from the other greens on the picture. So I will just hold them up now, and for this page I will explain sort of my, it's not really a code, but sort of the coding I use for my pictures, just in case you haven't watched one of these videos before. So I write down everything in separate areas, in separate blocks, depending on what the thing is. So B is for base, so that's the colour that I put down first for a base. I always put a base down. It's quite rare if I don't. And then I basically work top to bottom. So if we take the boots, for example, I will put Merc down as a base, then do Mud, Foxy Brown, and then Merc again. And then sometimes I have S by some of the colours, and that just means shadow. So that will be the last colour that I go in with. Often that is a fine liner. Sometimes I use fine liners as shadows, but it will also be the darkest colour as well that I sometimes go in with again. Sometimes I have an H, which is the highlight colour, so I will only use it at the very end to add a highlight. Sometimes I have S only or base only, so I'm only using those colours for a shadow or a base, just because otherwise if I use them, say I used cool green here as a base, I know that that would have given too much of a bright green tint to the green for the gables roof if I'd then gone in with it again. So that's why I left it. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I definitely know I've explained it better in other videos, but yeah, that's essentially what I do. And as we move on to the next picture, if there are things that are different, the way I've written stuff, I will point it out for you, just like I will with this next picture. So that's that one. Then I did what I called the Sunset Witch, this page. And this is from I Believe in Fairies by Clara Markova. Now, I didn't really write down a lot for this. I didn't feel like I would need to remember many of these combos, purely because I used Arteza pencils for this, and I don't use them a whole lot. But something that I did really want to write down was the background, because I enjoyed it, and it was quite an unusual one for me, mixing the blue with the pink and yellow clouds. That's definitely something that I wanted to emulate. And also her hair, because I was really happy with that brown colour combination. Often I find it hard to create a brown colour, especially for hair that's not too bright or too dark. Sometimes if I'm going down this route, it will end up being really bright and yellow ochre sort of colour, which was not what I was going for this. So I'm happy with how that turned out, and I will definitely be wanting to use that again. So the background was a mixture of Arageton pencils and the Arteza. So again, what I've done here, the brackets are just indicating the different colours. So the top bracket is blue, the bottom bracket are all of the pink and yellow clouds. So then I've got B1, B2 in this case. So that's just highlighting the fact that I've used two bases. So I used sky blue as a base, and then went over that with the periwinkle blue for a whole base as well, just to layer up the colours a bit and to mix them and create the actual colour that I wanted. And then the hair, these are the colours for the hair. So this is very typical where, so for example, it was earth red first, and then I would do dark chocolate, sienna brown, earth red, use cream as a highlight, and ash black is for a shadow only, because I didn't want there to be too much black in it. So yeah, that's all I wrote down for that. And I'm just going to keep this one out because we will be coming back to this. I'm doing them in order of the months though, just because it's easier to organise my books like that. So then we move to November. So I have two Rita Berman. The first one is Minor Reza Europa. Typically I will use Luminance pencils, Black Widow pencils, yeah, pretty much in her books. There are some exceptions, but yeah, this was Luminance and Black Widow, mainly Black Widow. I wrote down a lot of the things for this page because I really liked how it turned out. It was definitely a different colour palette than I'd normally go for in this book. And in general for her pictures, more of a subdued colour palette, a bit darker. But yeah, there's a lot for this, so I will just sort of skim over everything. If there are fine liners or gel pen or Posca pen or anything like that that I've added in, I tend to write them in italics underneath everything else. Again, I've got a lot of bracketing going on for the ducks and the canal boat. That's literally just highlighting the different colour combinations. So for example, for the boat, not sure how well you're going to be able to see that, the first bracket was just for the oh yeah, for the red. The second bracket was for all of the grey, the third bracket was for the green. So if you do have the pencils and you ever did want to follow along with this, hopefully it would make sense and it would be quite easy once you pick the colours out to be able to see what's what. So yeah, that's really everything in terms of that, I think. The charcoal green that's on its own here is just referring to the fact that I use charcoal green as a solid base for the backdrop for the leaves. And it does spill over onto this side as well. But yeah, that was a lot of combos. It took me a while to write that down. And I'm going to keep that one out again because I'll be needing it. And then I've got my Herz Spazier Gang, which was my Autumn Wheels picture. This took a while. This is a whip for quite a long time. This had a lot of fine liner in it actually. It was luminance and fine liner, and I didn't write down the colour I used for the background because I randomly decided to just use a Castle Art pencil. But yeah, I didn't write down many of the colour combinations because I don't think I'll be using many of them again. The ones I did write down were this combo, which had a lot of fine liner mixed in with the pencil, and then this one. The reason I wanted to write down this one was it was actually so easy because it was just a base of Erogeton and then going over with the fine liner, but I wanted to write it down just to remember it because this is a technique that I have started to do quite a lot now. So I literally just burnished with the Erogeton, and because it's quite a hard pencil, it didn't take much effort at all to fill the white space. And then I did a flicking motion with the fine liner. So I'll be doing that a lot more because I really like that effect. So yeah, those were the two combos that I really wanted to keep from that page that I liked. So then we come to December, and I've got another picture from Minorizer de Europa. This was one of the rare occasions where I didn't use Black Widow or Luminance. I actually used the Faber-Castell Black Edition pencils with a few polychromos, which I haven't done for a while. The reason I sort of mixed and matched with both of those sets was purely because the polychromos had some really dark greens that I liked, that I wanted to use for some of the leaves. So the Christmas trees, I did want them to have the darker layer. But most of it was the Faber-Castell Black Edition pencils, which I love. This, I really hope I did write it down. Oh no, I didn't. I thought I'd written down the combo for the trees, but maybe I didn't. No, I didn't. Sorry about that, guys. I was just gonna say how I really like that colour combination, but maybe because it's a smaller set, I didn't feel the need to write it down because it was sort of quite clear at what the colours were. But yeah, I'm annoyed I didn't do that actually. The things that I did write down there, however, were the Christmas trees because they are my favourite part of the page. I really like them. I like the sort of stripy effect from all the layering. Then the sky was really simple, but I wanted to write this down. And then the mushrooms again, yeah, I was quite pleased with that because I mixed some ochre colours with the red. So yeah, that was a fun one. Definitely a bit more out of my comfort zone. The colour palette isn't what I would normally go for either because there were some brighter things in there, but I think it does work and I like it. So yeah, that's that one. Then we've got the mistletoe from the flower year. Now the actual picture is nothing really extraordinary. It's literally just mistletoe, but the reason I did need to write it down and wanted to write it down was because I've got the opposing page still to do at some point. I didn't have time to do it in December of 2022. Maybe I will get round to it in this coming season. We will see. I hope so. But yeah, I needed to write down the colour combination to remember because otherwise I would have forgotten and I won't be able to recreate it. However, this wreath does also have pine behind the mistletoe as well, so I'll need to write down the pine colour combination. But yeah, this was Holbein, really simple. I used a Prismacolor colourless blender for this, which is sort of how I achieved the smooth effect. I'm hoping you can see that. But yeah, really simple with this. Sometimes I realise, I apologise, I've forgotten to highlight the, like put coloured circles around the little coding. But yeah, you can see here, for example, I've put Prismacolor Colour Splendour, the white gel pen in italics, just so that you can see that they're not pencils. So yeah, really simple colour palette for that. So that's everything from 2022 that I haven't shown already. And as I said, I've got videos either sharing month by month or every couple of months, which are all available on my channel. So let me just move these out of the way so that I can get to my other bullet journal. So this one, I've gone for a slightly different colour scheme, and I'm really liking how it's coming out so far. This will definitely last me a few years because I'm not filling it out that quickly. Cool, okay. So something that I was beginning to experiment with that I thought I would continue with over the months was doing these sort of like colour palette pages. I am not going to have time, and I quickly realised that it would just take such a long time. But I'm glad that I did actually do this for this particular page because I really like the colour palette. If I do ever write down, I mean for this page for example, the one that I'm about to show you from Little Secrets from My Fairy House, I pretty much wrote down every single thing that I coloured, and I normally don't do that. So on the occasion where I do write down everything, it might be quite a good idea to do this, just because this is sharing the whole page as a whole colour palette rather than just sharing specific colour palettes for specific things on a page. So it definitely has its benefits, and I'm glad that I've done that because I will be able to refer back to it. But I'm not going to have time to do it for everything. I already know that. So this picture was the nameplate page, which I did with Holbein pencils, and it was this one. So these pictures, I'm sure if you've watched my completed pages videos, they're fairly recent ones now. So this was a whip from December, finished it in January, and yeah, I wrote down pretty much everything. So it was all pencil and not much fine liner. Yeah, no fine liner really, apart from tiny things, which is quite surprising for me. And then a lot of accents and white gel pen and things like that. So I'll just move that to the side. Some of my favourite things were the bricks and the moss. So there's nothing really crucial to let you know about, because obviously these will all be in the PDFs. But other than like specifically, I've got the ivory colour in some cases, which is the Faber-Castell Ivory. One of my favourite pencils. It's just great. Where I've used it just to burnish. So I will use that colour to burnish because it's a slight sort of cream off-white colour. I'll use it instead of a Prismacolor blender to just finish off whatever I'm doing. So this one, the peaches, gosh, they had a lot. There were 4 bases, so I did, because I was layering it up, I did base 1, base 2, base 3, base 4, and then I worked my way down again. So, oh, can you see that? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that was that one. Took a long time, that page, but I'm really pleased with it. And then we have Wild Mouse Yuri's Adventure Sketch, Journey Sketch, one of the two. This is the Decorating the Christmas Tree picture. Again, I was using Holbeins. It was a very Holbein heavy month, January. And it was this one. Now again, the reason I wrote down quite a lot of these combos was because when I eventually come to doing this page at some point, the advent calendar page, which I really like, I want to try and keep the colours quite cohesive, and I think that will lend itself quite well for an advent calendar page, just having a few colours. But I was glad that I didn't do them both at the same time, because I would have got so bored of the colour palette, and I think if I leave it for a while, it'll be really nice to come back to and do. Just so long as I can remember how I actually coloured everything. Hopefully I will. So yeah, this was Holbein, bit of white gel pen. I don't use glitter in this book. But yeah, I wrote down the Christmas tree, and then these are all the decorations. So there are 4 different combos for the 4 different specific decoration colours that I wanted to write down. And what I tend to do, if I've got many colour combinations for one specific thing, or so Anne, for example, in the Anne of Green Gables one, I boxed off all of the combos relating to her, because otherwise it would have got a bit confusing. It's the same thing with the decorations. There are 4 different decorations, but I've just put them in a box, just so that it's easier to keep track of. And obviously this isn't a very detailed and confusing colour combination. It's quite simple actually compared to some of the other ones that I've done, but I just thought it's quite nice to do that sometimes, just keep it all separate. So yeah, that's January. Now another thing I've started doing, instead of the big page of colour palettes, when I am colouring a picture, so for example the next one I'm going to share with you, I'll have an A4 piece of paper behind my picture, and typically if I don't know what colour looks like or I'm trying something out, I will just scribble it down, try and figure out my colour combination, and because I'll have a bit of the paper poking out and I'll just draw on it. And if I know I'm not going to have much of a chance to colour, but I want to remember the colour palette that I've done, then I will just colour a little box, like a tiny section with all of the colours in the order that I've used them, so that I can remember how the layering works next time I come to working on the page. So what I've started doing is cutting those parts of the paper and just keeping them in this, just that I can refer back to them. I've boxed around, I mean you can see there's so many scribbles on that, but you can sort of see my process for some of the stuff. Most of the time it's when I'm using fine liner over white gel pen and it's sort of clotting up a bit, and I need to sort of scribble to get it working again. But this boxed off colour palette was the colour palette for I Believe in Fairies, so we'll be coming to this in a second, but that was a leaf colour combo. That was a different leaf colour combo, and that was the flower colour combo. So you sort of see how my process works, but I thought it was just quite nice to keep in there. We'll take it out just for a second whilst I'm sharing so you can actually see. And obviously I will take these out when I'm scanning the pages in, because otherwise you won't be able to see half the combos. But they're a fun reminder. Actually I'll just put it here. There we go. So we've got My Winter Spazia Gang. This is the Winter Wave page, as I called it. There wasn't much I really wanted to remember, to write down, sorry, from this, because lots of the objects were just based around the background, and I was like, well, why don't I just write down the background colours I used, and leave it at that, because I actually do really like the gradient, and I could imagine myself using this gradient from blue and then purple, pink into yellow for, you know, like a sunset background, or, you know, like a fantasy sort of background. So this was Holbein, really simple. I haven't even bothered to put base or shadow because it literally was just gradiating through all of those colours. So that was just something that I wanted to write down from this picture. Then we've got my other I Believe in Fairies postcard, as I said. This one was inspired by the digital colouring that Clara, I believe, did herself for the cover postcard of the postcard set. So it was pretty much inspired by that. It's not quite the same, but it nearly is. And as I said, for this I wanted to write down the flowers and the leaves because I was really happy with how they turned out. I used Prismacolor, so if you do have Prismacolors and you're interested, obviously I know out of all the pencils these are quite a common pencil in comparison to some of the others. So the flower colour combo, sorry I can't speak, was quite complicated. It's fairly easy to work through, I guess, if you follow the coding, but I will explain these ones just because they are quite complex. So essentially what I did was, these colours are, I should have bracketed it, but these are the pinks and these are the yellows. So I did a base of jasmine for the yellow section and pink rose for the pink section, and then I started layering up the pinks, and as I said, once I've layered them up I worked my way from top to bottom again. So I did pink rose, blush pink, clay rose, henna, henna, clay rose, blush pink, pink rose, and then I would go in with henna as the final pencil. And then for the yellow I would do jasmine, minimal orange, eggshell, jasmine, and then back to minimal orange, and then I use some fine liners as well. For the leaves, that's pretty much exactly the same for these leaves. Now I can't remember why I've written L instead of base. I don't know. Maybe because I think I layered them rather than basing the whole thing. I think that might be why. Sorry, this is, I know it's literally only been a couple of months, but I can't remember. I would take that as a base. So pale sage, then dark green, then sap green light, then marine green, and then working my way down again. That is quite confusing though. Oh, I apologise about that. But yeah, those were the things that I wanted to remember because I'm hoping to use that colour palette again in the future. I've coloured another one in here just with Prismacolor, this one. And the greens are not quite the same, but they're fairly similar. I think I prefer this one that I've just done. But yeah, that's that one. So that's February. And then the final page I have to share with you is from March. And again, I've shared the swatches that I did just as I was colouring this. I haven't boxed them out, but this is one of them. This is another. This is another. And then I bracketed this one because I clearly didn't want to use it. But it's nice. It's sort of got a bit of shimmer here and there with all of the paints and stuff that I was testing. But yeah, it's just nice to keep in there. But this was, of course, the crocus page that I did in March. So the 3 colour combinations for the crocuses that are bracketed out were for the yellow and burgundy petal, the more Parma Violet sort of purple colour, and then the purple with a bit more sort of pinkish red tone to it. I did then write down the flower colour combination because I really liked how they turned out, and then the 2 types of leaves. So we've got the lighter leaf with fine liner lines and it's a bit more olivey, and then the darker leaf with the pink base as well. So yeah, that's that one. I didn't write down anything with like the background because that was just pastel. And then I've got fine liner and stuff for all the bubbles and some glitter and things like that. So that was quite simple to write down, and I'm glad that I did write it down because I love those combos. And as I said in my completed pages video, I haven't thought to ever do crocuses with different coloured petals on the same flower, so that was really interesting to do. But that is everything that I have to share with you. Actually ended up being a little bit shorter than I anticipated. I thought this was going to be a really long video because usually I manage to elongate like each month to be like 15 minutes. So yeah, I hope it wasn't too long, but I hope it was useful in some way. I don't know, I never really know how useful they are going to be, but if you ever do recreate any of the combos, I'd love to see. Feel free to drop me an email. Obviously I never make these videos with the expectation that people are going to. It's just really fun to share them, and you know, maybe somebody will you know, maybe they're looking for a colour combination for a leaf in a particular pencil and it just happens to be in one of my combos. So yeah, it's really fun sharing these, and I'm glad that I finally got around to doing it because it's taken me quite a long time. But yeah, thank you so much everybody for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you're interested, and yeah, everything's down below in the description box as usual. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care everyone, bye!